ما مشكلة.
And this is really a really welcome step, which will translate into greater autonomy and greater agency and more parity for women in Saudi Arabia. You know, one of the most significant reforms that was announced is the fact that women are now able to obtain their own passports, which would allow them to travel without a guardian's consent. Some of the other reforms include the fact that women are on par now as heads of households. This means that they are able to register deaths and marriage and other civil status matters. It also means that they would have legal custody over their children. They would be able to obtain their official documents. Women who are fleeing domestic abuse or domestic violence and seek protection in one of the shelters in Saudi Arabia would still need their guardian's approval to be able to leave the shelter. Also, women who have served sentences and are ready to be released from prison still would require a guardian's consent and signature. There still remains a lot to be done, but it will translate into an easing of this guardianship system, which has been a stifling system on the daily lives of women in Saudi Arabia. And one of the most glaring examples or indicators of this has been the growing number of young women and girls who have been fleeing the kingdom in recent months, seeking asylum abroad, mainly because of a lack of protection inside the kingdom against domestic abuse, domestic violence, and the guardianship system overall. These reforms really are a testament to the work and the brave activism and the suffering and the ordeals that Saudi women and men have been going through in their fight to ease this guardianship system and in their calls for reforms. These are exactly the same reforms that they have been calling for decades now. And they are being charged. Some of the women who are in prison today are facing trials and are facing charges that are based on the fact that they have been calling for these exact reforms. So there is no doubt that now that these reforms are happening, the state has to be consistent in its approach and release without any conditions and immediately all of the brave women and men who are being tried just on the basis of these charges.